to thank everyone, all the students for joining today. I know it's been a hectic week with the healthcare management week, but it's been pretty exciting. Especially our panelists. Thank you guys for taking out the time to come in today, speak to us, and kind of share your thoughts on the topic we have. Um, for those who don't know me, my name is Abdul Memon. I'm the president for the Healthcare Management Association, and I'm also an undergraduate student at UTD. Um, and our discussion today, it's going to be a pretty open and flexible one. So we encourage all the people attending to send in your questions throughout the discussion so that we can fit them into the conversation and kind of add more value to it. We have a pretty important discussion today. As all the seniors in this audience know, graduating is a pretty difficult time. All of us go through different scenarios, finding a job, deciding what to do after. It's pretty strenuous. So for that, we have a pretty exciting panel today. We have three previous healthcare management association officers here to talk to us about how that transition goes. Actually, too, I forgot Larissa's not here, but yeah, so it's going to be a pretty exciting event. But all right, so to start off, I'll go ahead and introduce our panel. First of all, we have Mr. Rolando Perez, who is a clinical staff assistant at UT Southwestern and also the previous president for the HMA. We have Sana Iqbal, who is a program assistant at Children's Health and also the former HMA treasurer. And we have Marissa Romero, an associate project manager at Premier Management Company, and who has also been in the healthcare management field for over 3 years now. So we have a broad range of experience. So we're going to start off our discussion kind of talking about and asking you guys about your experience moving on from a senior at UTD and kind of going into the professional field of healthcare and how that experience has been, what were some of the obstacles and how you went through those. So if you won't mind, Rolando, would you like to start us off?
Sure thing. So I had a very unique experience because as I was transitioning in my senior year and graduating, COVID hit. And so as far as like job opportunities go, that kind of really also took a hit. I was competing for jobs that people with 10 plus years experience were trying to get. People with master's degree, people with, who were way more qualified for the position than I was. And so going through that, transitional period of trying to figure out, okay, well, is that what part in healthcare am I kind of wanting to go into? Which ones am I applying to? How am I tailoring my resume and stuff like that? And I think the biggest thing throughout, all the rejections and everything else was, me going forward with everything and not giving up, but also reaching out to my contacts, reaching out to the people that I knew. And that was, how I landed my job here at UT Southwestern. And that's how, any place that I had gotten an interview at, it was because I knew somebody there. All the other organizations that I had applied to that I didn't know someone there, I either got no response or I got an automatic automated message saying, sorry, we going with someone else or whatever. Didn't even get an interview. And so me being able to reach out to my contacts and the people that, I knew, especially meeting through HMA, had definitely helped me out. And not only that, not only helping me land a job, but also helping me with advice, with just regular mentoring that I had received. There was an individual that I had reached out to because they were interested in, I was interested in what they were doing. And that's kind of how I just reached out to people. I was just interested in what they were doing and wanted to know, hey, from someone who is just entering this field, what advice do you have? Or from someone who, is interested in potentially entering this part of healthcare, what advice would you have? Or do you have any tips on how to alter my resume? What would you look for? How can I change and adapt to, where I'm at now to where I need to go? And kind of having that transition, that was definitely um definitely a beneficial journey that I had gone through, and what I had did from, a couple months before graduation, and then a couple months after. And luckily, I was able to secure a job, and I started working for UT Southwestern a couple months later in July. And that's kind of a little overview of my life post graduation. Definitely not what I was expecting, but I don't think anyone was expecting COVID to hit and and everything else that had happened. But yeah.
That's great. Hey, well, if I haven't before, congratulations on your new post, man.
Thank you.
It's great to see. All right, Sana, do you wanna carry the same question on?
Yeah, sure. So like Abdul said, my name is Sana. I work at Children's in the Learning Institute. I'm a program assistant for clinical education. So the way my transition from college to a full-time job was, it took a different course than I expected it to. So starting my senior year, I was a community advocate intern at Baylor Scott and White, which I'm sure a few of you are familiar with that program. And I was part of the inaugural cohort for the Community Advocates program. So me and along with one other intern were selected to take on sort of this contract position at Baylor Scott and White. So I did that for about a year. And and that was during my senior year, so I was still taking classes and still getting ready to graduate and everything. So as I was getting closer to graduation, I knew I wanted more of a full-time position, not so much a contract position. So I was starting to explore other options. And at this point, like Rolando said, I reached out to my network and tried to see if there's any opportunities available that anyone has a lead on. So I did hear back from one of my mentors, and he recommended me for a position actually at UT Southwestern. And during my senior year, I interviewed for that position 3 times, and I was given great feedback from them, and I thought I had the job. Like I was very confident in in that opportunity. But as time went on, I just wasn't hearing from them as often, and I kind of, I don't know, I have like a weird feeling about it. So I decided not to put all my eggs in one basket. And during my senior year, I decided to continue to apply to other positions outside of UT Southwestern and outside of Baylor. So as I was doing that, I was not really hearing back for a little bit, and it was really weird. So it wasn't until I think like a week before graduation that I heard back from the UT Southwestern job that I thought I was going to get, and they did a reevaluation, decided that there wasn't a budget for that, and they canceled the position. So I was kind of disappointed about that, but I mean, it happens, and I'm glad I didn't put all my eggs in one basket. So I was continuing to look for other positions, like I said, and then I graduated, and suddenly, like, it was just nothing was happening. And that was a pretty hard time, honestly. And I think it lasted for about like 2 months. But then my 3rd month into applying for jobs, I started hearing back. I kept on sending my resume to people in my network, reaching out to people who I knew in companies that I wanted to work with. And everyone was super helpful, super responsive. And eventually I started getting interviews about my 3rd month into unemployment. And from there, it went very fast. So I had about 2 positions that I was interviewing and progressing in the interview process with at the same time. And finally, one of them made an offer, which was Children's. And I was really conflicted about whether or not I wanted to pursue it or not, because the other position I was interviewing with, I felt pretty good about it. And I felt like it sounded more of what I wanted to do in the future. Whereas this position that I'm in currently, I was honestly kind of confused about it. But I did a lot of research on the companies. So it was between Children's and Susan G. Komen. So I did a lot of research on both the companies. I reached out to people on LinkedIn who work at both companies and kind of just got like a pulse check on how they feel the companies are and what the jobs are like. I went on Glassdoor a ton, LinkedIn a ton, and then finally decided that Children's was a better place for me. So I went ahead and accepted that offer. I've been here for a year now. Actually, just last week was my 1-year anniversary. So, and I couldn't be happier. Children's is honestly, thank you, Rolando. It's a great company. And although the current position I'm in right now wasn't initially what I thought I wanted to do in the future, I could not imagine myself in any other place. So it goes to show that even though you might think you want a particular job, just don't close doors to other opportunities you might have, because you don't know where those will end up. It was a great learning experience for me. And I also learned that post-graduation can be very tough, especially on your mental health. So as you guys are preparing for graduation and looking for new jobs, just be sure to take care of yourself in that sense, and do what's right for you, and keep a strong head on your shoulders and reach out to your network. I think that's the best thing you could do.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. Just because all of us have different experiences going after graduation. Mariana, do you want to share your thoughts on that? How was your experience moving on from like being a senior at UTD and then
Sure. Yeah. So thank you guys for having me on. I'm really excited to be here. Feels like senior year was so long for me, but really it was only, I think, 3 years ago, if I'm doing my math right. But my whole undergrad, I was pre-med. So, that may be a position that a lot of you are in right now. I was pre-med. I was thinking, I was going to go the clinical route. But towards the end of my junior year and really the beginning of my senior year, I really did some deep soul searching, and I decided I really didn't want that for myself in terms of a work-life balance, and that's something that not a lot of people talk about. So I decided that the administrative route was the route for me, because I noticed that there were all these problems in healthcare, all these things that we can work on, and that people, like, these problems that need to be solved. And I noticed I really didn't know very much about the American healthcare system and how it worked and what I was going to what I thought I was getting myself into. So that's when I started looking at population health and value-based care. And that's something that I know the program that I was looking at, the master's program in healthcare leadership and management, really advocated for and stressed. And so I decided to do the fast track program at UTD, and that's where I got my master's. And because of that link, I didn't have to take my GRE. I was pretty much automatically accepted in there. So it was a very smooth process for me to go from senior with my bachelor's in biology and business administration to my master's program. And I really loved it. I thought the classes were really good. While, I thought, okay, I'll study this extra year and I'll get my master's, and, I'll really dive into the healthcare system that we have. And I'll really dive deep and try to understand it. So I joined HMA, I joined ACAG, like a bunch of different organizations to just learn as much as I could. I got to know the faculty members really well. I did all these projects with professors, trying to get my foot in the door to different companies. Something that really helped was the Greenbelt project. That got me, face to face with a project with Children's Health, and so that was very beneficial. And I also just dived into internship applications. I never had an internship up until that point. Like all throughout my undergrad, I never had an internship. So I thought that was going to be an important step, because I had this clinical experience, I had like shadowing experience, I had scribing experience, but I didn't actually know what it was like to work for corporate or for a company. And so that's when I look for these opportunities and apply, and that's how I landed an opportunity at Baylor Scott and White Health Quality Alliance as an intern with their quality improvement department. And once I got that, it was really an eye-opening experience, because it opened up this whole other field of project management and value-based care that I really hadn't paid much attention to before. And so that's where my career kind of started, the corporate route. And so I worked for Baylor Scott and White Quality Alliance up until I don't know, a couple months ago, actually. It feels like a long time ago, but I, progressed in that position. But it ultimately led me to where I am right now, which is Premier Management Company, which is another smaller ACO. But we'll get into that later because I think that's outside of the scope of the question.
Abdul,
I think you're muted.
I believe someone else had their mic turned on and there was a bunch of disturbance. I'm trying to figure out if we can mute everyone except the three of y'all. All right.
I don't think so, but I muted that person and then I'll keep an eye on it.
Perfect. And I see that Larissa is joined. Hey, Larissa, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. I'm sorry. I am at work and we had something going on.
No, you're completely fine. Well, hey, thanks for joining us. For everyone else, Larissa has also been a member of the HMA and an officer. She was the VP, and she's also a manager in training at Parallon right now. Larissa, the question we got started with was, just discussing a little bit about how your experience was at UTD as a senior and how you transitioned into the role that you're in right now into the professional field of healthcare. So do you want to take over that question for a little bit?
Sure. My experience as a senior was great. I took advantage of being part of HMA, and for everybody that's a member, make sure that you're not only a member, but you also get involved in the events, if you don't have a chance to or time to be an officer, you can also be an ambassador, you can be a volunteer. That will help you like a lot, because I was able to get to know the faculty better, and everybody else, which they're extremely helpful even after leaving school. That opened up many doors for me. I was able to get internships. Mariana, I always mention, she helped me get my first internship at Baylor. She helped me prepping for the interview. So HMA will give you so many resources to open doors for you and make sure you always have time to network, because having good grades is really nice. That's what you supposed to be going for too, but getting to know people is actually what's going to help you get there. Because at the end of the day, once you get your bachelor's, you have the paper to prove. Of course, you have horrible grades, might not be good, but a lot of people, I don't think they even look at your GPA, but they really look into your work ethics. If they see you're involved in the events and you are doing a good job doing that, they will be interested in you. And that led me to my position. So being a senior at UTD, it was extremely stressful. My last semester, I had many life changes. So just be aware they need to, it's not impossible. Sometimes it looks really hard because you're almost getting there. And sometimes, I had many personal challenges. So be able to manage yourself and understand that sometimes you're not going to be there 100%. Forgive yourself for not being the best of the best sometimes. So be your motivator, but also give yourself some breaks sometimes. So being at UTD, I was able to get internship with Baylor, Eli Lilly, and I got to know people at Parallon. And that's how I got my job, was actually because I met them in three different network events. And throughout those three different network events, we kept in touch and talking about the position. And that's how I got it. So to me, it was extremely important being involved with HMA. And also, UTD was really nice. The Career Center was really helpful too. So things that you guys need to keep your mind into it. Take advantage of every resources they give it you, and your classmates are resources, people that graduated ahead of you, people that are freshmen, you don't know who they know, and sometimes they have a very professional background, and they can help you. So everybody can help you. So always treat everybody nice and be nice to everybody. They'll be nice to you.
That's very true. You never know who you can meet, and I guess we can kind of establish from all four of your answers that networking is, it's essential now. It's one key to success that we all need to get a hang of, and I really appreciate your answers. Next, I know a lot of students would like to know your thoughts on like what certifications, opportunities, both on and off campus, that students should pursue, and opportunities that help them get better equipped entering into the job market. Could you guys share a little bit of your thoughts on that? And we can start off with Mariana.
Yeah, sure. So I'll start off with the credentials that I have. So one, I would say if you're a bilingual speaker, go ahead and put that on your resume. And if you can get certified for it, make sure you do that. That really has helped me with not only, my jobs in healthcare, but just any job that I've gotten. That's always been a plus on my resume. Number two, something that I did get at UTD, and I think it is still available, the Lean Six Sigma Green Belt certification that I did with Dr. Ramanathan. That was the project I referred to earlier, where I worked with children's on their school telemedicine project. That took about 10 months, but it was definitely, I would say that was one of my most beneficial experiences at UTD. Getting that certification helped me, have something to talk about in interviews. It helped me have concrete numbers, and it really helped me understand that the lean thinking and Lean Six Sigma thinking, which has really helped in my career. And then third, which is a credential that I don't have yet, but if I had known about it earlier and had really researched it more, I would probably, at least for my career path, I know that a project management certificate, a PMP certification would be beneficial for me. So that's something that you need 3 years of experience for. So I'm right there. So hopefully soon I'll be taking that and getting that for myself.
Great, thank you for that. Sana, do you want to carry on the same question for us and kind of tell us about what kind of certifications and opportunities you were into and what you would suggest for our students?
Yeah, sure. So to be completely honest, I don't have any credentialing behind my name, no extra letters, but it is something I look into often, and that it is something that as I progress in my career, it's something that I would like to have. So like Mariana said, Lean Six Sigma is a great option. I see somebody in the chat shared ACHE. That's another great organization to get involved with, especially your senior year and right after you graduate. And as far as opportunities to get involved, I think all the panelists can speak to HMA being a very beneficial resource, as well as the CMC. Just a little bit about what I did my senior year. I was a student worker with Quincy and Ray, so I think that was a great opportunity in being able to network with people and just continue to get involved on campus. And then I was also very involved with the CMC, kept great contact with them. And then again, HMA, just whatever connections I've made through HMA, I'm still in contact with most of them. And that's just been another great way to get involved.
Perfect. So if I haven't said this already, if you haven't joined the HMA, look where it gets you. So please do. All right, Rolando, do you want to share a little bit about your thoughts on that?
Sure thing. I definitely think certifications and whatnot, all those extra ones, definitely make you stand out. And besides the Lean Six Sigma that's already been mentioned, and the PMP as well, I think that if you're starting off wanting to go project management, maybe consider a CAPM. That's something that you can just do by taking a class and passing the test, and shows that you kind of know a little bit about the stuff. But if you're wanting to go somewhere more so like healthcare IT, there are a plethora of different certifications that you can get. And going into healthcare IT, definitely those certifications mean a lot. They have a lot of weight to them. Personally, I don't remember them off the top of my head, but I know there's plenty. And it just kind of depends on what area of healthcare IT you want to go into will determine which certifications are important, but there are plenty in that area. Besides that, I would think, just generally speaking, be very familiar with Microsoft Suite. All Microsoft products, if you're able to know Excel, maybe even if you're able to get into Tableau a little bit, stuff like that, it'll definitely help. Knowing your Outlook, knowing your PowerPoint, all of those things are definitely going to be beneficial and would look better on your part, especially if you know what you're doing and you know how to use those products. That would definitely help.
I agree. I guess a lot of those things perfectly complement your degree and what you're trying to get into. I appreciate it. Larissa, what about you? What do you think?
Like everybody else, Lean Six Sigma is one of the things that I'm looking into it. I really wanted to do project management one, but the career path that I'm going to is not necessary. So it really depends on what you want to do. So give yourself some time to look your career path. Of course, it can always change, but let's say if you're in IT, use the connections you have to see what certifications they have. IT, I believe, is the play. If you're following that path, it's the place that you can get the most certification possible. We're gonna look into a lot of things. Lean Six Sigma, you can use it for anything, anywhere. So that's a great one for everybody. As Rolando said, Excel also really important tool. And one thing that I see coming up, I'm not sure if they have a certification, but it's something called Power BI. People are using that to start doing like evaluate their performance and comparing to others. Companies are using to evaluate their metrics, things like that. So that's something that I see is coming really strong now. I don't know much information. I know I'm looking into that at my work, and so I'm not sure if it's certification, but make sure you learn how to use them. It's a nice tool to have. That's it.
Perfect. Well, I know one of the questions that a lot of students have is, after you graduate, we kind of think about, okay, do we want to get a graduate degree, or do we want to get into the job market straight away? So, as far as your experience goes and how your path was, would you say what route is more beneficial to go towards, or is it case by case? Would you like everyone to go straight into graduate school and then enter the job market, or is it better to get that experience first? And we can start off with Rolando, if you'd like.
Sure. So this question is kind of iffy. It really depends on the individual and what's going on in their life and what they want to do. For me personally, I went the going to work route, getting that experience, coming back for the master's. That way, when I get the master's, I have some work experience that I can pull back on and say, hey, okay, well, given this life experience that I've experienced, how is that applicable to what I'm learning now? One thing to keep in mind, if you are going the route of getting your master's first, which perfectly acceptable, depending on where you get it, obviously there are some bigger name places that if you go there, you're guaranteed a job afterwards, basically. But for other places, without that work experience, whatever job you apply for, it's basically you're kind of looking at entry level, as if you were had graduated with your bachelor's or even graduated with a high school diploma. It just kind of depends on what their requirements are and what they're looking for, because I know organizations definitely love the fact that you have your master's, but they want to know, hey, do you know what you're doing? Do you have that work experience? And so that is definitely going to be a big thing to consider. And I had one more thing to say, but I'm kind of forgetting it. So,
Well, hey, if you remember it, just raise your hand in the chat. We'll come back to you.
Sounds good. Yeah.
All right, Mariana, I wanted to ask you the same question, because I know you've been in the position where you've interviewed people and you've looked at a lot of resumes, What do you think about that?
Yeah, so I'll take another perspective from Rolando because I did like right into my program. I did the fast track program even. I didn't even take 2 years. I think it took me a little over a year to complete my master's. And I can see both sides, honestly, because for me, I took that year because I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do yet. I knew it was something in healthcare, but I didn't know exactly where, and I wanted to get internship experience and I wanted to research a little bit more. Like I said, like up until that point, I'd really just considered the clinical options and not necessarily the business and administrative route. And so that year really gave me some more time to think and research on my own. But in terms of the experience versus your credentials, right? Like for me, I started out with very little experience. And so I had to prove myself and I had to work, I would say, maybe, I don't know, maybe a little bit harder just because like when I was doing my internship, I had to prove that, you know, I could be there and that I had to make myself very valuable to that company so that they would hire me and give me a full-time position. Whereas, you know, and I think having a master's degree really helped me stand out from other candidates, but I think it was still, you know, pretty entry level. So, you know, having a master's degree, you have to be comfortable with the fact that, you know, you will probably be going into an entry level position. But, you know, whether, you know, it could help you out in the long term, right? Because, you know, you just have to evaluate your circumstance and figure out, you know, do I really want to work for a few years and then come back to get my master's, or do I just want to go ahead and get over with it? I have coworkers right now that, you know, maybe are in their late 20s and they're trying to finish their master's that they started like 5 or 6 years ago. And, you know, I did it in a year, and I'm not saying like that's better, but at least I got it over with. Yes, it was an extremely difficult year because I was working full time and doing my master's program, but at least I got it over with, so I don't have to worry about it anymore. But then, you know, you also have to look at the cons where I don't have as much experience as somebody that maybe has been in the field longer and then went back to get their master's. So it just depends on your life situation and, you know, what you think is best for you in that moment. So I really can't say one is better than the other. I have interviewed like various candidates, and some of them have masters and some of them don't. Sometimes it just comes back down to like work ethic and willingness to learn, and it doesn't necessarily always matter whether you have that credential or where you have those last few letters on your name or not. But yeah, that's just something to think about. I don't know. There's not really a right answer for that.
I got you. And yeah, go ahead, Rolando.
Oh no, sorry. I remembered what I was gonna say. It helps with promotability. So, you know, once you've got that degree, it really it helps with that portion of it. I know there are definitely some, you know, supervisors here that they don't have their degree, so they can't become managers. You know, they have 10 plus years experience, but because they don't have that degree, they can't get promoted. And so that promotability with, you know, potentially even getting your master's, you know, can set you up for, even though you start off entry level, you'd have a quicker route to, you know, a higher position than, you know, someone else who didn't.
I got you. So it kind of makes you a little bit more marketable whenever you're in your experiences. I got you. All right, Sana, do you wanna share your thoughts on that?
Sure. My senior year, I went back and forth a lot between whether or not I wanted to continue on the fast track or if I wanted to take a bit of a gap year and work and then pursue a master's degree. I think I used to talk to Quincy and Ray about this almost every day while I was working with them. So it was something I thought about a lot. There's pros and cons to doing either option. And like Rolando and Mariana said, it really depends on the individual person's situation and what you're looking for in life, I guess. So for me personally, I decided to take a gap year. It's now going to be 2 years, and to pursue a full-time job and then go back for my master's. The reason I did that, there were a couple reasons actually. First, I just felt kind of burned out from school and I wanted a break, and I was looking for more work experience. And secondly, I think just in terms of saving money, for me, it was easier to work instead of continue on to school. So those were like two of the main things that I was really considering when I was making this decision. And now where I am, it's been a year since I've been working full time. I recognize that looking into a master's degree is something that I need to consider moving forward. So yeah, I'm planning on studying for GMAT and then pursuing a master's degree in this upcoming year. So again, it really does depend on each person, and you kind of have to look at where you are right now and weigh your options that way.
I understand. So it's a little bit more target oriented depending on the position you're applying for, the organization, and what you see yourself doing. I'm pretty sure all of us could agree on that. I was going to ask Larissa the same question, but I think she's having some technical difficulty.
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, we can.
Can you see me?
No, we cannot.
Oh.
We see you. I mean, I see you.
Okay.
I guess it just must be me then. Larissa, do you wanna take over the same question?
Sure. Again, I feel it's similar to everybody's answer. It depends case by case. I would love to get over with if I could. I just it depends also on the company. There are companies value the degree, some value more the experience. The company that I'm in right now, they really care about what you can bring to the company, what you can help them with. But of course, there are people in the same position that I am in, and they have a better pay because they have their masters. However, they are still in this initial position, entry level position. As of since whenever I have my masters, I'll be able to be promoted just as fast as they are, or even faster, because I'm already in that position. I'll be able to get a pay raise, but they already got it to start with. My company will help me pay for my school. They had to pay their school on their own. So those are the things you need to look into it. To see, I would say first get a job. If you want to go your master back to back, great, but I would get my job like Mariana did. She was working and she was doing her masters. Just make sure you are getting your work experience while you're at, and in the company you're at, try to see if they can help you pay for the school, because that's also something to consider. It's not only do they care about my degree or not, but how can I save the most money too? It does not matter, will be hard if you are working and going to do your master's, and I highly advise you to work. Highly advise you to get that work experience. Maybe it's not a job that requires a bachelor's, but something that go towards it in the same area. Whenever I was doing my bachelor's, I was a pharmacy tech. It does not require bachelor's, but because it was within the same company that I was looking into it, I was hired right away. It was an easy transition because I was already within the company. So just make sure you are looking for jobs also that can help you with your career path and growth.
Perfect. And I agree, we can kind of all agree on that, saying that, it's both of them go hand in hand. Work experience and a graduate degree, both of them make you more marketable, make you more out there in terms of, when the hiring manager sees you, or even when you're applying to a company. So thank you guys for that. One question I had, and this just out of personal curiosity, because I've seen all of y'all just, move from UTD and go on to, professional companies. If you could go back to your freshman year and kind of look at that experience, what would you do? What would you kind of change, work towards, or what would you advise yourself in the past that, hey, this is something you should have done? So I guess that we can start off with Sana on that and see what your thoughts are.
That's a really interesting question, especially because my freshman year, I started off as an ITS major, not a healthcare management major. So I guess I would tell myself to switch to healthcare management because that is what would end up being right for me. But other than that, I mean, ever since freshman year, I've been super involved on campus. I joined the DMHP program. I got involved with the HMA my sophomore year, and just stayed as involved as I could throughout my entire career at UTD. And any opportunity that made itself available, I never said no to it, and I always explored it. Even if I didn't end up taking it on, I would always consider it very seriously and decide if that was something I wanted to do or not. So for example, with the CMC, I don't remember what the exact program was, but I was asked to interview for one of, I think it was like an ambassador program or something. So I did interview for it, and I got pretty far in the interview process, and then I decided I had enough on my plate already, so I decided not to pursue that as an option, but it was still, I still stayed involved with the CMC as much as I could. So yeah, I guess that's what I would tell my freshman self.
What about you, Mariana?
I would probably tell myself to not necessarily do what you think other people think you should do. I think that is probably like what I would tell myself, and I would also tell myself to just be easier on myself. And to keep your options open, which is something that I did do. And I'm very grateful for that, because if I had just been on a one-track mind, then I wouldn't have considered the other opportunities around me. So keep an open mind and do a lot of research on what you envision your life to be, 10 years from now. Like, what do you want your typical day-to-day to look like? Not your title, but, what time do you come home from work? Or do you even have the ability to work from home? Those kinds of questions are like day-to-day things. Like, what do you actually enjoy doing that you're good at? Or that not only are you, maybe you're not good at it yet, but you can be good at, that you can train yourself. Like, you can really train yourself to be good at anything that you want. But it also has to be something that you genuinely enjoy. And then also, how much effort does it take for you to do that? Because, if you are, pushing yourself to do something that you may not necessarily be, you may do it well, but it may not necessarily be the best for you in terms of your personality. Maybe you like, working by yourself better than you like working with people, or vice versa. Just think about those things and what you would want your day-to-day to look like. Do you want to work for a corporate company where you have, maybe a lot of meetings, or a lot of face-to-face contact, or maybe you don't. Maybe you want to go more into, delivering a product for somebody. So I would just say there are so many careers that, you have no idea that are out there. Especially when I was a freshman, I had no idea what was out there, what project management was, what working for a company looked like. So I would just advise myself to go and see it for yourself. Like, try to shadow people. And this even goes back to like probably even high school, to see what their day-to-day really looks like. What is their level of stress? What is their happiness level? And is that something that you can see yourself doing? Is it worth it for you? Are all of those years of studying going to be worth it? Is the pay worth it for you? What would you consider a comfortable life? How much money do you want to earn? All those things are important questions, and those are different for everybody. So those are the things that I would ask myself.
Well, great. Larissa, I see you have your hand up. You're muted.
I'm sorry, it was my mistake.
Oh, you're good. Well, do you wanna continue the answer?
Sure. My freshman year, I would say do not stop going to school for nothing, but I did stop going to school for I took a big break. So if you guys are planning to do that, if it's looking a little bit too hard, just push a little bit harder, and keep on trying. But of course, if you, for some reason, a family health or situation like this, you need to take a break. Again, be easy on yourself, like Mariana said. Um, but again, those are rules that it doesn't matter where you at. Be nice to people. Um, Learn. Be open to learn from every single person around you. It does not matter if it's another freshman, if it's a professor. Um, I also have like be positive. I was able to develop really good relationships with the professors. Professors that didn't even talk to their class, they were talking to me. So just make sure you're positive and you're there, you're participating. Don't If you go to class and you're not willing to learn, you're wasting everybody's time. So try to learn things. I understand that there are days you're going to be tired and all that, but sometimes people just go to class to go to class. Don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to your professors. They will notice and they will just not care because it's not their it's they understand, but if they show you're involved in the class, that you care, that you want to learn, they will be willing to work with you. I had family emergencies that I had to leave everything, drop everything, and go to Brazil because my dad had a big accident there, and they were willing to work with me. I was able to do things online for a week, and it was very nice. So if you care for your classes, your professors, and your classmates, believe me, they will care for you too. So that's I would always keep in mind whenever I was freshman, because sometimes I will tell you I went to class and I was too tired. So just be aware of that. And I changed my behavior later, but just be aware.
Well, I can definitely agree with the getting tired part. Rolando, do you want to go ahead and take over?
Absolutely. So I'll have to say that, the biggest pieces of advice that I can give would be to take opportunities. The opportunities that are presented to you, take them. There were plenty of times when, you know, I didn't really know what it was that I was going to do. And that's another thing. It's okay not to know what, you're going to do, what your career is going to look like, what job you're going to get. That's okay. And it's okay to know that. But you have to keep that open mind and take those opportunities when they come along, whatever they may be. It could be an internship that you're really on the fence about. You're like, I don't really know about this, but it kind of seems interesting. Go for it. And or it might be an event, an HMA event or an ACHE event, and you're like, I really don't feel like going today, but you know that there's going to be a good speaker there, or you know that there might be a big crowd of people there. Well, not anymore, but attend. Try and get to know the people that are around there. Network. Take those networking opportunities when they arise, because you won't really get them once you've graduated, unless you've joined other organizations like ACHE, NALI, HIMSS, whatever it may be. You have to be able to take charge of your life and your success, and taking those opportunities, networking when you can, and just knowing that it's okay not to know. uh, those would be my piece of advice.
Perfect. Sana, you had your hand up. Did you have a comment on that or another question on that?
Yeah, I think Rolando hit on something really important. Especially as a freshman, or even like throughout your entire college experience, honestly, it's hard to know what opportunities are out there or what type of job you might want in the future. So like Rolando and everyone said, reach out to people and see what they do and see if that is something that you want to do. And also just, I guess, do research on any opportunity that you get. You'll never know. Like, for example, I never thought that I would be in clinical education after I graduate, but it ended up being a really great opportunity. So I think while it's hard to know deciding on exactly what you want to do in the future, and especially after graduation, it's easy to set like broader goals for yourself. So for example, for myself, I knew that after graduation, I didn't really want to go into the insurance area. I didn't really want to do anything like IT related. I wanted to be working in a hospital or consulting. So I didn't narrow down my job searching to specific career opportunities, but more so I was looking more at areas that I wanted to work at, if that makes sense.
It definitely does. Thank you for your answer. We have a question from Quincy. So with your resumes, even if you have experience or if you don't, what would be some quick tips that you guys could give us before we close down this session today? Larissa, do you want to start us off with that?
Sure. So as I answer, follow the resume tips on the Jason Career Center. They are really nice. I follow them. Everybody normally likes my resume. Now that's resume slash interview. Know exactly what you're putting down on the resume. Know how to explain the thing you put down in your resume, because whenever they're asking you the questions, if you don't remember what you put in your resume, or you don't know how to explain something that you put in your resume, that's not gonna look good. Another thing that I do is whenever they're asking me on an interview a question, I like to answer different questions with different job experience. So I will show it to them that I know what I'm doing. I was able to obtain knowledge and put into practice into different life experiences. Another thing is whenever you're doing your resume is, I forgot, but wait. So whenever you're doing your resume, make sure you know everything. I'll go back to it. Whatever happened to Rolando happened to me too. I need to write it down. But just make sure you are true to what you're doing, know what you're putting down there, and you'll be able to explain it well.
Perfect. What about you, Mariana? What do you think about resume and like keywords that people should put on there?
That's a good question. So resume, I've reviewed a lot of resumes at this point, and I would say things that stand out to me are, well, number one, grammatical errors are still very common. I know that sounds like, okay, your resume should be perfect, crystal clean, but there's still like typos. And, for somebody that's very detail oriented, and somebody that's looking for somebody that, pays attention to that kind of stuff, that's important. So make sure that you get your resume reviewed by people that you know, and by, professionals like the Career Management Center, and make it sure that it looks good. Make sure that you add numbers. Anytime you can add a specific number to something, make sure you add that and be able to talk to it, like Larissa said. It's very important to know what's on your resume, because you'll be asked a question on there, and if you did that like 3 years ago and you don't remember, like they will ask you about it at that interview. And so you better be ready to explain it and back it up. But it's not necessarily all, yes, the resume does get you into the interview, and there are some keywords that you could use, including your skills, the things that you know how to do, like, if you're knowledgeable with Excel or Power BI, or, if you can confidently call yourself a project manager, or whatever your specific job that you're applying to, there's definitely keywords that you can use for that. But make sure that you're not just putting something on there, but you're not actually doing it, or you don't actually have that to back it up, because that lying on your resume is not a good idea. I would say rather than doing that, be prepared to in your interview back everything up with a specific example. That has helped me so much, and it's helped me stand out in interviews because of that. I didn't just say, what I would do, for a behavioral interview question. I would specifically say, oh, well, I am detail oriented because I did this and this and this at my previous job. And I, did this, increase this by X%. And so you have to be able to provide those examples. And then leave some stuff off that's not necessary. Well, I don't know if I would really say that, but sometimes I like to, they ask you, okay, tell me something that's not on your resume. And then that also gives you an opportunity to say something that will also make you stand out.
My apologies, y'all. Apparently, there's been an emergency in the building, so I have to go.
Well, I hope you're all right.
Yeah, but if anyone, you could look me up on LinkedIn, Rolando Perez, and just send a connection request. But I'll see y'all later. I don't know what's going on.
All right. Well, thank you.
Good luck.
I hope everything's all right. But all right, thank you guys for your answers. Sana, I believe we were still waiting on yours, or did we already get to that? I'm sorry, that kind of disturbance threw me off a little bit.
Oh no, you're fine. Yeah, as far as resumes go, I think it's really easy to put a lot of fluff words in your resume without really saying anything. So I think it's really important, or I guess the tip I have, which I did when I was preparing my resume, is write just a resume with the basics of what you did. Nothing fancy, no fancy words or anything. And then once you feel like you have a good list of things, of like solid examples that you have or accomplishments that you've had in the past, then go in and make the sentences a little bit more elaborate, add some quantitative data like Mariana was saying, and make it seem more professional and read better. But just make sure you're not putting words in or putting numbers in just for the sake of having that there. I think that's a big mistake a lot of people make. Also, a lot of companies want to see the specific words in the job description on your resume. So that was a bit of a hard pill for me to swallow when I was applying for jobs, because it takes a lot of time and effort to do that. But really tailoring your resume to each specific job that you're applying to pays off so much. And that when I started doing that, that's when I started hearing back from other companies. So that was pretty important. Also, as you're going through your college career, you're going through internships and any jobs, even if it's not related to the industry you want to be in, just keep a list on your computer, your phone, of accomplishments or things that you've been successful on throughout your entire career. And that way, when you get ready for your resume, or if you have like an interview coming up and you can't think of examples, you'll have that list ready and you can already think like, oh yeah, I did this in the past. Let me include that on my resume and let me remember what I did so I can use it as an example in an interview. Also, if anyone wants to share their resume with me, I'd be happy to look over it. So either on LinkedIn, or I don't know if you guys want to share my email, but I'd be happy to do that.
Perfect. That's great. Thank you for that. Larissa, I see you have your hand up. I think you found out what you were thinking of.
Yes. So I was going to talk about making sure you match your resume to the job description for the job you're applying for, just like Shannon say. And a great tool, it's called, guys, right? I will put in the chat, is jobscan.co, not .com, .co. And you can use it one time for free, but trick here, go incognito, and you can use as many times as you want. And so there you put your resume on one side, this job description on the other side, and they're going to cross match the information, and you're going to be able to see how many words you're matching, how many words you're missing. And I'm not telling you to fake the information. What I'm telling you is, for instance, in a job, maybe they might want somebody that manages people. Another job, they wanted somebody to be a lead, to be and they're very similar words, but because the job description is saying lead or the other one is saying management, that could make a difference because most of places before going to the person is who's going to interview you, they scan those and then a computer will select whatever has the higher match. So that's a tool that I used before, and it's nice and helps you. And of course, Grammarly is there for you to make sure you're not having those grammar errors, especially me as a second English is my second language. Another other people that you're networking with, like Sana, just was great to offer you to do that. And she's so nice. I'll send my resume to you, Sana. And yeah, so make sure you use all the resources you can. There are so many things online. And good luck.
Perfect. I actually did not know about it, but I will definitely be using it. Well, I know we're a little bit over time, so we can end it right here. It's been a really productive discussion, guys. Thank you so much for your answers. I really appreciate it, and I know it's important to have like all you guys said. Important to network, important to have a mentor, important to know someone that's in the field in that situation. That way they can help you out, talk to you about it, and I can personally attest to all four of y'all mentoring me in throughout my years at UTD. Even if it was as an ambassador at HMA, the Baylor Scott and White mentorship program, or even, applying to different companies. I know y'all have had inputs in my life that I really appreciate. So once again, I'd like to thank all you guys. It's been great hearing from you and seeing where you all are. Kind of gives me hope to see where we're going to go after here and how the tables have switched. Last year, 2 years ago, y'all were in my situation, moderating a meeting and talking to the alums, and now it's the other way around, so it's pretty cool to see that. But once again, thank you for being here, and it was great having you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you.